uh, the purpose today is to talk about the process of advocacy. And what I'm seeing on the screen is all of you are either chairs or presidents, whatever you call yourselves, of your chapter, or you're involved in the advocacy work of the chapter. And that's exactly who we're talking to today. We did send out the advocacy priorities to everyone a couple of weeks ago so that they could be reviewed and ask questions. And we have, I believe I've gotten back to everybody with answers to your questions, and I thank you for your input. Our purpose today is not to go over the individual policies. We wouldn't have the time to go through all of them. But what we're wanting to do today is talk about the implementation and the way that we use the policies. So first of all of you will have received in the online in the communication from us, I hope, a copy of the policies and a link to the policies. If you have not had those passed on to you, if you're a part of this webinar because you've been invited by your chapter and didn't get a direct message from me, then please let me know, and I'll give you the link to the policies so that you're able to refer directly to them. They are online, and although there are many of them, they're all on separate pages, so you can easily outline them. You should all be able to, I hope, in a moment, see my screen share here, so we can take a look at what the policies look like in general, and they look like this. There we are. You'll all be able to see that. So as you'll see, we have, and as you know, we have a large number of policy priorities or activities that advocacy people are involved in this year. The whole attempt of this project is to put online background on each of the policy areas so that when you want to deal with them in your province, in your chapter, then you have background material that you can use. So each of the policies, and referring now to the one we have in front of us, which is the one on the Canada Pension Plan, for the most part, each of them have a background section to begin with. They talk then about how how CARP is advocating on those issues. Gives you some background if there's current movement on the issue, as there is in this particular one. Then it gives you some key messages that you're able to use in your advocacy on the same topic, some suggestions for social media, and then resources that are available to give you even more information on the chapter and on the topic, and websites that are available so you can click on them. So in this particular case with the CPP one, we have the op-ed from the Alberta CARP chapters, the CARP letter that went to all the financial, provincial, and territory ministers of finance and premiers, and then we also have the CARP website activity. All of these items also are reflected on our website, and I know the website is sometimes difficult to search to find particular topics, but if you go to this particular resource, then you'll be able to be taken directly to the website information. So if I go down, excuse me for scrolling quickly, but I wanted to find, if we go down one on healthcare, and particularly home and community care, at the end of all that information, among the resources, you will find all of the CARP posts that are online on that topic. So there are 29 subject areas at the moment that are available in terms of the CARP national background on the link that you have, and you can see each of them individually, and you can link to the appropriate page and find out what the background, the policies, the information, and the suggested things that you can use. Are there any other questions about the that document itself?
Bill, when can we share this document with the full membership of our chapter?
Okay, it's an internal but public to internal, which means members document now. So you can share any of that information with your members. We've divided it into individual sections for each one because I knew that it was going to be an issue probably to try to give that to most people all at once. You probably want to give them certain sections of it at a time. But all of this is for our CARP use at this time. It's not intended for public use in terms of the entire document, because in some cases, although what we're suggesting isn't a secret or anything, it's information for you on how to handle it rather than information for the general public. But anybody in your chapter should be able to see any of the topics at any time that they're interested in, and the topics are being curated by Nadia Pestrak, who's on this screen, and you see Nadia here, and any changes that we make within a day or so will go up on your document. So some of the areas currently pharmacare, dental care, CPP on occasions, some of the other federal items that are now before Parliament, it is closing. There's changes in some of those every week, if not more than once a week. So it'll always be updated. So what I would recommend you do in terms of any current active topics is check when you want to use something, check back and see if there's been a change in the document that you're looking at or the page that you're looking at. And remember that the CARP website, every time we update, every time Nadia updates the website, or updates the background material, the website is also updated. So if you go to the website and click on Advocacy and go to those drop-down menus, you'll find the most recent information will be posted there. If you use the Google search function in the website, it doesn't always give you the most recent, but the website itself, under the click tab, under the list that's on the drop-down menu, should tell you. Is everybody aware of? Is there anybody who's not aware of the website and the drop-down menus? I think everybody. If you aren't, please get in touch with us, and we'll make sure you know how to access that. So let's talk then about the use of this.
Bill, there's a
Yes.
couple of questions. Ursula from Niagara and Ramona.
Okay. Sorry, I don't see a full screen at once here all the time. So thank you, Janine. Ursula?
Bill, you mentioned that there were 29 parts to it. Are you talking about this policy document? 29 parts to the policy document. Okay,
Yes.
that's what I thought, but I want to double check. Thanks.
Yeah, there are 29 or about, I don't know, Nadia, it's close to that at the moment.
Close enough. Okay.
I think around 21, 22.
21 now? Okay. 21 different policy statements on that document. And some of them will have no interest to you or your chapter at all. We're not suggesting that every chapter deal with all of those. You can't possibly. But there are chapters dealing with each of those issues. So we put them up for everybody to have access to. Ramona, you had a question too?
Yes, thank you, Bill. With our position on long-term care homes, I've noticed in the recent weeks, especially in BC and Ontario, a lot of the care homes are closing. Chartwell, Rivera, and do we have a position on that at all? It seems that they're closing
No,
and selling off, and it's going to become, condos or whatever. They're putting all the putting out people who have been living there for a very long time.
Yeah, no, we don't have a position on that at the moment. As you say, it's a fairly recent,
I think it's long
very
care. I think it's
complicated,
retirement homes.
very complicated question because these are privately operated, privately owned. They're not government controlled in any way. So although we can be concerned about where people will be able to live in terms of how you find housing for people, then it comes under our housing concerns for older people. So, but at the moment, there's nothing available at this time on it. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm wondering, a lot of organizations have said, oh, private homes need to be abolished and it should all be government.
Well, I say that we don't have a policy on that at the moment. So,
Thank you, Bill.
okay.
Ramona, I think it was retirement homes, not long-term care homes that were being sold off.
Yes, but a lot of them have different levels.
Okay.
The Rivera one had, retirement and then dementia and then Alzheimer's. So there were different levels in some of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an area we can certainly continue to look at, but it is very, very, very complicated in terms of ready-made solutions. And I say to the Ottawa folk, maybe that's one that we should consider getting on our to-do list these days. Ottawa being the chapter that's is giving the lead in terms of our long-term care policies. So moving along then, and I will move quickly, but that doesn't mean that please feel free to question and interrupt. One of the things that I wanted to make clear about CARP advocacy, the first point I just made is not every chapter will be involved in every
okay.
issue.
I figured you
fact,
probably need
Ursula,
the
can you
doohickey
mute
also.
yourself, please?
No?
Not every chapter can be involved in every area, and we don't expect you to. It's what's important to your members, where you have expertise, where there's a possibility of you having some effect to make some change, either in your local community or through your elected representatives, that you feel that's an area. But for any group, whether it's national or a local chapter, to have more than 4 or 5 priorities at any one time is more than enough. So be selective in your priorities, and then hopefully we can help you work on those areas if you need more support. And the second point is that you need to be cognizant of what's possible. When we looked at the number of issues that CARP might be involved in just a couple of years ago, we stopped at 132. we just stopped counting. It was obvious there are a tremendous number of issues facing older Canadians these days, and we can only get involved in a workable number. So the first thing we look at nationally, and I would suggest you look to in your chapters, is what's doable. Where can you have success? There may be a number of really important concerns that you have in your community that your members have, but where, if you put some effort into it, might you actually be able to accomplish something? And those are the ones that should take priority in terms of actual advocacy. But the third point on all of that is that all policy change, you can't get policy change at any level until people understand the issue. Everybody understands the issue. The politicians, the public servants, the media, your members, the public at large. Until people understand the issues, policy change just doesn't happen. It's just not important to people. It's not important to the people who will make the changes. So CARP's work always begins with education. So on many of these topics, we are not taking a firm stand necessarily one way or the other. What we're doing is first educating people on the topic. And this is where organizing your local advocacy priorities come in. There may be a very important topic. And let me just give you an example, because I was talking to them the other day about it, in terms of, as you know, the Nova Scotia chapter has been taking the lead on our home care issues at the moment. And what they have discovered in their very extensive research is that home care is invisible. In other words, people don't know anything about home care until they need it. And when they need it, they don't know what they don't know, and they need it so quickly that they don't have time often to make good choices and know what's available. So in that particular topic, their first priority will be education, educating everybody that they can about home care and the issues around it. And they'll have to do that before they can look for policy changes that improve home care. And that's often the way we look at issues. And that's why my title is Policy and Education Officer, because education becomes such a key in each area. So in using these, the key and the thing that I want to take a little bit of time today to talk about is how do we implement the advocacy issues? How do you do advocacy in your own chapter? I'm going to put up a different screen share now, just for the time being. Mm-hmm. It's not. Coming up right. Maybe I won't. Let me talk a little bit about it first. We won't really need to show you that right now. The advocacy that you're involved in will, in most cases, in almost all cases, start at either the national level or your own chapter level. And your campaign will differ depending on how that is launched. If it's a national campaign, then we will provide you with all the material that we hope you will need, probably help you on a larger scale, either regionally or nationally, launch the advocacy campaign and give you everything that you need to get you started. If you're launching your own campaign, Then you're going to need to host your own launch, your event, your meetings, your educational opportunities. You'll have to work through a number of different mediums to get the message out. The traditional media, social media, and individual contacts, meetings in your own community. But it will either be one or the other. In either case, we at National are hoping that we can support you with material like we've shared with you in terms of the background to help you get involved in those activities. One of the things that we will have for you within the next couple of weeks will be a new outline. Some of you will remember we had a few years ago, I guess in 2020, we had an advocacy how-to outline for you. We're updating that right now, and that'll be available to you and to anybody in your chapter who's working on advocacy, so that you can appropriately set up a campaign. It'll help you set your goals, research your potential partners, understand local media that's available to you, compile a contact list of the people that you'll need, from politicians and bureaucrats through media and other local individuals to work with throughout the campaign, and then to create a project plan or a roadmap that'll help you get involved in the program. There are a number of parts of that are available to you, including searches that'll show you the contact information for politicians that represent your community, federally, provincially, and municipally, that you'll be able to get those contacts, their phone numbers, their emails, the other things that you need. If the campaign has a national lens to it, a lot of that will already be done for you, and your job will be simply to review it and put it into action for local use. One of the things that one of the reasons that we want to get you that contact information is because it's the personal contact that works, that always works best. And that's really where the strength of CARP in terms of our national advocacy is most felt. You know, I can sit at the national level and make all the pronouncements I like about how we think the world should operate. But when you talk to a local elected politician that you vote for and your members in your chapter vote for, that's when they really listen. And that's when they bring those concerns to their caucus, and the caucus brings it to the ministers and the cabinet begins to make changes in areas. And until it becomes an issue at the voters, the voting level, it seldom, if ever, becomes an issue for the policymakers themselves. So what you're able to do is you're able to visit your elected members at this time of year, or at least shortly for the federal members. They're back home, they're in their constituency offices. You're able to talk to them face to face, or at least able to phone them, and if not, then hard copy letters to them. Emails are hardly worth it. I won't say they aren't worth it, because they do get counted. But be sure, for the most parts, in most political offices, emails aren't read, other than some clerk quickly scanning them, and then they're counted according to issues. So they'll know we got 200 emails on this issue, and 100 said this and 100 said that, but that's as much as they know. Hard copy letters that they get do get noticed, at least get skimmed, and I'm told by some politicians, not so much with tongue in cheek, that if they get a letter that's handwritten in pencil, the politician herself or the politician himself will actually read it. So that may be a that may be a suggestion. But phone calls and in-person meetings do get noticed, and that's where you can be most effective. When it comes to dealing with the media, that's another place that we help. We have a very robust media search network that allows us to identify the reporters and media who are in each community, who are involved in those particular issues, so that if we're communicating about financial issues, if there's a financial reporter that is listed that way, then we're able to get that information directly to them, and so forth. With regard to getting in touch with politicians and writing those hard copy letters, one of the things that works, which is almost the same as snail mail, is to send them an email, but attach them a hard copy, a PDF of your formal letter. And those do seem to get attention and get responses. But it's also important to remember that, especially when you're dealing with cabinet ministers at the provincial or federal level, don't just send your copy to the ministers. Make sure that the deputy and any other senior officials who deal with that issue in that department get a copy of the letter. And it doesn't hurt in most cases to CC the premier's or the prime minister's office with that email that contains the hard copy level. And we know from long experience that if we send an email to a politician at any level, we're not likely to get any response except an automated "thank you, we got your letter," which is just sent by by AI, not by a person. But if we attach a PDF with a formal letter in it, we'll get a response from someone that indicates the letter has been opened, they've looked at it, and although we don't often get the kind of complete answers that we're looking for in those situations, we do get enough of an answer to know that somebody at least skimmed and read the letter and got the gist of it. The most effective advocacy that you have is talking to your members face to face. And if you happen to have a cabinet minister in your community, in your riding that you can talk to, then you have an even greater chance to influence the outcome of decisions and policy in the long run. Not to take a long time to go into these areas in detail. As I say, they're all going to be in the material that we're going to be sending you in writing, and we're happy to follow up with you to help you implement any of them. Also, the other area that we're finding is effective in some cases is using social media. Starting with Facebook is the way that most of our members who use social media, Facebook is their preferred way of communication. The other possibilities are not as well used. But for the media, and media people and other politicians, they do use Twitter. And so we communicate on Twitter when we want to talk to reporters and politicians and public servants, and we use Facebook in addition to our own direct mail to our members when we want to communicate. Murray, question?
Yeah, Bill, question. What do you think of doing what the unions do and putting 50 people around the office placards of the MP or MPP?
For them, in most cases, ineffective and often not controllable. The problem with most of those opportunities that they tend often to attract other people to be a part of it who aren't as politically astute as our members are. So they really have to be well controlled and organized. There can be a place for them, but the politicians and the public servants pay little attention to those kinds of activities. What they can do is get some media attention, and if you want to get your story in the media, I know of one chapter recently that did get involved in one of these because their issue that was based around the environment was not being well recognized, and a large number of collegial organizations were all concerned about the same issue. So they did gather a large group, and although there's no evidence that it affected any politician policy minds, it did make the media and made people aware of an issue where probably they weren't. So, but in general, you've got to be really careful with that sort of thing. Our approach at CARP, nationally and locally, I know with and many of you I've worked with over the years, I know our policy in working is to be collaborative and open and understanding and working with the decision makers to help them make the right decisions, not beating on them or being confrontational. And it's hard. It's hard not to have these placard carrying rallies around government offices and things. It's hard to not to make them confrontational. I'm not
Okay.
saying don't do it. I'm just saying it's something you've got to handle really carefully. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, total sense. Understood. That was a question raised that I thought I agree with you. And that's what we're currently doing with Minister Kustendova regarding our dementia program.
Right. Good. Very good.
We're trying to help her, which helps her get reelected. That's what it's all about.
We've been trying to take this approach, this collaborative, positive approach for for the last 20 years in CARP, and I've been involved in advocacy work for almost 40 years now. And the old truism is use honey, not vinegar. It's the honey that attracts the flies, not the vinegar, is really quite true. And it can be really frustrating sometimes because politicians and public servants can be really difficult sometimes and hard-headed, and you want to reach out and somehow wake them up, but you've got to be careful how you do it in terms of the long run. So also included in the information you're going to be getting is some information on how to put together a campaign, all the elements that you need to think of before you start any particular campaign, who you need to have on board, and what resources you need. And when you talk about resources, as I said, nationally at CARP, we have information, experience, and background where we're happy to advise, and occasionally, not always, but occasionally with the national campaigns that we're doing, we also have some funding available for particular issues. So if we were, an example recently would be in BC, where we had a webinar that we wanted to do on a specific vaccine activity in British Columbia. We had some funding available from one of the vaccine suppliers to help do that, so we were able to pay for the webinar that took place in BC on that particular issue. The important thing is don't be afraid to ask. it's a little frustrating sometimes. I'm sure you could understand that often we hear from chapters after the fact that we didn't get any money for that, and it turned out they didn't ask. Don't ask. The worst we're going to be able to say to you is no, sorry, it's not available. But the chances are it might be too, or there might be resources available. And one of the specifics that I want to tell you about is the CARP 5 election campaign. And as some of you know, a couple of years ago, when we had the Ontario provincial election, we created a campaign on the CARP 5, the CARP 5 major priorities. The BC election is underway now, and we have repurposed the CARP 5 from Ontario with a different 5, but using the same template, and put the new CARP 5 for BC words into it. And now Ramona and her people in BC have that available. And that's available now to any province, and there's a couple of you who are coming close to provincial elections. You too can decide on what the top 5 priorities are for your chapter with your province for your upcoming election, and you can have this material too. And this material includes brochures, posters, and pins that will be available to you, so you have a smart looking brochure. Also have it available for online use for your own website, for Facebook, for handing out to your members. And it makes CARP look organized in a way that we wouldn't if we were all off developing our own. So if an election is in the near future in your province, then get in touch with me, and let's talk about building a CARP 5 for you. It does take, doing the editing of that initial 5 pieces takes some time. As Ramona will be able to tell you, we're back and forth a long time on that one. But so the earlier we start, the better that will be. But those are the kind of resources that we are able to give to you. And the next step is to get your chapter members involved in the advocacy. And this is really a key to the power of local chapters. If you can get all your members getting in touch with their elected representatives around a particular issue, then that's a way of really making an impact. And this is one place where things like petitions can work, or a letter that's signed by all the members of your chapter. So if you're having a meeting of some kind on any issue, and you have a current policy position that you want to talk to the elected members in your catchment area about, then having a lot of members sign that letter is an effective way of making them pay attention to the issue. We also have the capacity, the program nationally, that if you wanted to be able to post a letter online that people could then sign on to and send to their own member of elected member, whether federally or provincially, then they would be able to do that. And we can help you put that together. And then, I'm sure you've seen us use those nationally. They're also available to us to use provincially too, if we organize it for your chapter. So you have a draft template letter. People are able to see what it is. You send it to them through your newsletter. You post it on your webpage, whatever way you communicate with people. They click on to that template. They make changes in the letter that personalizes it to them. They put their postal code in, and click a button, and it will send the letter to the appropriate, the email to the appropriate politician. Once again, it's not particularly effective, frankly, in terms of when politicians get a lot of letters that are generally the same. They realize it's a bunch of letters that are generally the same, and they count them, but they don't necessarily pay attention. What it does do, though, is make your members feel like they've really done something worthwhile, and it energizes them to be more active in your campaign. So it has that benefit too. Remember, in any kind of advocacy, when you want your members involved, you have to be seen to giving them support too. And sometimes that support, that's why things like letters to the editor work well. Not many politicians pay a lot of attention to individual letters to the editor on topics. But when your members see that you've written a letter to the editor on a topic that concerns them, that encourages them to be more active in the advocacy themselves, and that's part of building the energy in your chapter for good support of advocacy.
Bill, Anthony from Brampton's got his hand up.
Anthony from Brampton, yes, thank you.
Bill, when we talk about letters, how effective are like letters to the editor from if the board of directors of each chapter wrote a letter signed by the board of directors? How effective are those type of letters?
Well, we know that letters to the editor and op-eds too, because their op-eds are really just a larger form of a letter to the editor. But letters to the editor, op-ed, are noticed by politicians, but frankly more by public servants. They're noticed, and so are effective as just one more comment on the particular issue. But as I said, they're also very effective in raising knowledge of the issue with the rest of the community, because people who are at all interested in what governments are doing around policy all invariably try to read letters to the editor. Letters to the editor, whether we like it or not, are one of the highest read parts of any newspaper in those places that still have newspapers existing. So they are effective in terms of getting the word out generally, and as I said, also effective in terms of encouraging your members that there's talk around the issue. And all of this, supports in any time, and you've probably all heard me say it, whenever I'm talking to the media or in the media in any way about a topic, I always try to get in, a message to our members and the general public. If you're concerned about this, then talk to your elected representative. Let them know that you as a voter are concerned about the issue, and then they'll listen. And that's something that you're trying to encourage them to do in all ways. And when they see letters to the editor or op-eds signed by either the chair or president of the chapter or the on behalf of the board of your chapter, then they certainly are noticed and are a part of building a broad-based campaign that hopefully will eventually have good effect.
Thank you. Now, the other question is about collaboration with other community organizations like the Council of Canadians or the Ontario, the Ontario Health Coalition. Those type of organizations that should we be courting them to be involved with some of our issues?
Allegiance with other organizations who have similar goals and points of view can always be effective in moving forward issues. The problem that we have, frankly, with many of the organizations is they don't have the same philosophical point of view of CARP, so it's difficult to work with them on same issues. And frankly, union-based organizations are generally looking after protecting union jobs and protecting their members more than they are the overall policy. So in many cases, we're not able to work with some of the groups on some issues like the ones that you have mentioned. So we have to be really careful that the philosophy is aligned when we're working with other groups. But there are many groups that we can and we do work with. At the moment, for instance, and I don't know how many of you've noticed, but there's new federal accessibility, Bill C-22, on making homes and more accessible and other areas for people who are had challenged accessibility. And of course, many of our members fall into that group. So we're working very closely at the moment with the March of Dimes, because the March of Dimes also has that issue, and they have a lot more background and research on it than we do. So the March of Dimes is one that we're working with. We sometimes work with the Retired Teachers Organization, but at the moment, their view and policies around pharmacare are totally different than CARP's, and we will not work with the retired teachers on the pharmacare file, although we're pretty well aligned on the dental care file at the moment. So it really is a case of issue to issue. And if you're concerned about the specifics of any of those on specific issues, I'd be glad to get into discussing them with individual chapters as we move along.
Thank you very much. Thank
Yeah.
you very much, Bill.
All right. So, getting back to advocacy, advocacy is a living thing at all times, a living document. It takes on to a life of its own. It changes course as work develops, but with the eventual goal of having our ideas transmitted to the people who are making the policy, and hopefully many of them being adopted. But it does mean that we need to be flexible and on two levels when it comes to policy often. In some areas, we could have very specific requirements, changes we want. For instance, currently with some of the federal financial decisions that have made like kick in for people at the age of 75, but leave the people between 65 and 75 out. That's a specific where we have a specific ask that policy should include that 10 years younger age group. There are other areas where it's much more it's much more indefinite from our point of view, and our attitude is, or our position is, government, you're not treating people appropriately in this area. You've got a whole bunch of experts there that know how this file should be handled. Please look at it and make appropriate changes so that seniors can live in dignity in this area in their older years. We don't try to be specific, but in both cases, we would try to educate our own people about what the issues are in that area, so they can have that similar discussion with their local politicians. I think that's all that I wanted to. I thought it'd be an hour, and that's darn close. Okay, as I said, that was all that was what I wanted to cover, and just to review. because the old minister used to say, tell them what you're going to tell them and then tell them and then tell them what you told them. So I'll tell you what I told you. And that is that there are documents now that give you the national position on 21 or so issues that you can refer to totally individually. You have a link, so they're all online in a Google link, so you can click on them individually and see them at any time you're able to look at them and consult with them. They get updated as quickly as we can in any area that they change. And if you wonder if a change is coming in a particular area, get in touch with me and let me know. And I'll let you know whether or not Nadia is working on that update or maybe you've noticed something that needs to be updated in one, and let us know what those are. Certainly, advocacy is intended to be a two-way street, and we want to work with you on all these issues. I'm just looking to see there were. Oh, Renata said she couldn't. Renata, are you still having trouble unmuting yourself? Did you want to say something? She, I hope she didn't go. Renata, are you there?
She's still on. Yeah,
She's
she's
still
still.
on, but she's.
Yeah,
I
looked.
I
Okay.
can't see her on my. Is she a
Uh,
picture? She,
no, just her name, Renata.
oh, just
Bottom.
a name.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Here she is. Okay. There. Well,
I don't
says on
know.
my end that she can't unmute. So Renata, if you can, we're here. Are there any other questions or comments before we close?
I
Yes,
just. Oh,
Murray,
sorry, Murray.
you're muted, Murray.
Yeah, sorry, it takes me a while to find that bloody unmute button.
Yeah, me too.
We're having a little difficulty with this dental program for seniors. Not that
You and the rest of Canadians.
well, my question is there any information from the government on how much they will pay?
I have had discussions directly with the president of the Canadian Dental Association, the CEO of Canadian Dental Association, the CEO of the Nova Scotia Dental Association, and the people in the health ministry who are working on it. And the most up-to-date information I have is this. No, there's nothing definite yet. If you look at the printed government information on it, everything says might be covered, could be covered. There's nothing definite there. The bottom line is no matter what, nothing at the moment will be totally covered. And this is where we're really upset with the politicians. And so, frankly, are a lot of the public servants because they're having to deal with this, who are trying to make it sound like there's going to be free dental care for everyone. And there's not. It's going to depend on your income level, and there will be copay. And at the moment, there are copays understood for every area, unless your particular dentist wants to go without that copay percentage. And I don't know of any dentists at the moment who have agreed to do that. There may be some somewhere. So yeah, our whole problem with the dental program is it's being promised and over promised, and not only under delivered but not delivered yet. And my information is that nobody, except in a very few cases where some local dentists have decided to jump the gun, nobody will be able to access the plan until at least August. And some people are telling me November before any subsidies will be available. So our advice since last October, when they first talked about this to members, is if you need dental work, get it done now. Don't wait for this imagined support program. It's amazing how they, and if you read, all you have to do is look at the websites of the National Dental Association, and you'll see their very clear statement that this is not settled yet by long means.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. I was about to change dentists, but I'll hang on one
No,
more.
hang on where you are for now, Murray. Larry,
Okay,
you had a question?
thanks.
Yeah, thank,
Whoops, you're muted, Larry. Huh, Larry's having trouble. I think I'll let you try that, Larry, and I'll go on to Anthony. Do you want to, Anthony Skanga, Brampton?
Okay. Just a short question, Bill. Our members are concerned about when, as we approach a federal election next year, will CARP National be spending money on buying advertising on television and radio? Because we find that that's kind of a waste of money. We could be much more effective communicating to our members directly rather than spending hundreds of thousands of dollars for a radio or TV ad. So was CARP National planning to spend
No,
money?
no.
Thank you.
Now, we will be doing some television and some radio because we have this wonderful partnership with Zoomer Media where we're able to get some no cost opportunities to do that. So you will be hearing about CARP's position nationally on vision and joy and on the Zoomer radio and new classical in Ontario. But those are not ones that we are paying for. That's time that's being donated to us by Moses and his company, and we take full use of it, but we don't buy any of that. And occasionally there are partners that we work with who are part of our CART family that may be buying time themselves, but it wouldn't be a CARP message in that case. We will be
Excellent.
doing things like having panelists on the Zoomer TV show and opera and on the radio call-in shows in Ontario in the Zoomer network, all of those. But spending from our budget, no.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you.
That's a good important question because people don't always realize that when they see things that are on those media, they think that we're spending big parts of our budget doing them, and no, that time is given to us, and we access it. Our only cost is the time and effort in producing them in the first place. Larry, are you next?
yeah, thank you. I got a little technically complicated there. Thank you very much for the program today. I did hear you say that identifying issues and subjects for Nadia's attention, you can get into dozens and dozens. I'd just like to draw a couple though that I think are almost low-hanging fruit in possibly promoting seniors' interest. One is the national seniors strategy. It's something that doesn't exist. Is something that the federal government has had on its radar for a significant number of years, but has never followed through and actually produced. The second issue in that respect is right now there's a time plan for the United Nations to consider a convention on the rights of older persons. And another organization for which I am the advocacy person is promoting both those objectives. And we've written to our MPs about the latter issue, not the former, but the latter issue. The third one that I've been involved in Windsor, Essex for more than a decade is promoting our city to follow the World Health Organization age-friendly community model, which provides a rather holistic, comprehensive approach to promoting seniors' interests. And currently, there is a age-friendly working group at the city level that I belong to that has just had its first two meetings that will try and pursue that. But there's also a provincial, as you may know, in Ontario, effort to promote age-friendly community activities. So I just draw those three to your attention.
I think they're all very good points, and Larry, low-hanging fruit is often the tastiest. So
Yes.
not and I can tell you with the National Seniors Strategy, we were having that as a part of our regular conversation with federal ministers of seniors and others, and it dropped because there just seemed to be no interest at all from the politicians. But you've reminded me again, and I'm going to put that at least back on the list, because a lot of us just gave up on it a few years ago. But you're right, we need to, especially with the possibilities of a new or renewed government federally coming soon. It's time to get that on the list. With the UN Convention on Older Persons, we have nationally sent a letter in support of that happening, and we're very aware of it. There was an article on our website some time ago about that, might be even 3 years ago, almost now, when we did that. But certainly supporting the UN Convention on Older Persons is something that we've been supportive of. And many of the communities across the country have very active age-friendly community policies, and I'm disappointed to hear that Windsor Essex doesn't. And I encourage you to keep doing that. It's the whole idea that an age-friendly community is friendly to all ages is something that people need to be reminded about, and well worth continuing to push in your community.
You must misunderstood. Windsor has been a member of the
Oh.
World Health Organization Age-Friendly Global Network since 2012. They've recently reinstituted not a senior advisory committee, but a working group on age-friendly, which I'm a member. So we're getting back on track in the city on promoting the age-friendly model. I was just thinking that CARP might be more upfront about that particular activity. The other thing I would mention, and then leave the stage, is way back when Moses began involved with CARP, he promoted chapters to get involved with the October 1st UN International Day of Elder Persons. And in Windsor, we've been involved for that many years with flag raising ceremonies and proclamations by the Windsor mayor, at least, on both June Seniors Month and the October 1st UN International Day of Elder Persons, which is also Canada Seniors Day. It seems to me those are good opportunities for CARP as a national organization to kind of ring the bells across the country on both those public days.
And we do have plans to do that this coming October, and many of the chapters across the country actually celebrate their big celebration of seniors on October 1st, and then some of the provinces do it in June. So nationally we try to help you manage both, but we are looking to an event on the 1st of October.